everyone, and welcome to A Plus Productions, A Plus Wrestling. We are back. Everything seems to be working fine. And on this week's show, we are doing a classic BAM episode. We're going to be talking some wrestling. We're going to be talking some entertainment. And we're going to be talking some sports. We're your hosts. I'm Boris. And this week, I am joined by Matt.
Bonjour! How's everybody doing out there? We hope you're doing well. Huge weekend for sports. Alex Ovechkin breaks the all-time goal-scoring record in the NHL. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. re-signs with the Blue Jays. Lots of things happening in all kinds of the sport. But Boris, we have to talk about a pretty noteworthy AEW Dynasty show as well. And we had a friend in the audience.
We had a friend indeed. And also joining us all the way from Philadelphia is A Plus's and Talk Time Live's very own Daxavier Josiah. Dax, how's it going?
Bonjour from Philly. Please forgive my voice.
You sound like you went to a wrestling show last night.
Yeah, and I left out of there like I was in a hall of shame. Like
yeah,
I had I walked out of there with no shoes on. I was carrying my Jordans on the way home, just walking home, just like, what the hell did I just encounter?
You messaged me at 1 a.m. Eastern saying you're just getting in an Uber.
Yeah, it was real. Like it was. Well, see, here's the thing too. It wasn't only just Dynasty going on. It was some other festivities going on throughout the day. So like my getting there was a delay, and coming back was a delay. So it was all good, but it was worth it.
Awesome, man. Let's talk about the in-person experience before we talk about the show. Philadelphia, every time there's a show in Philly, it always feels like there's something going on. Did Dynasty feel the same way, like in the city, on your way there?
We always bring it. That's the one thing that makes us who we are. We always bring it. We always, we're like New York. When it comes to wrestling, we're like New York with the Apollo. You know what I'm saying? It's like a make it break it type of situation. And you got to bring it because we are a history of professional wrestling dating back to the Spectrum and the Philadelphia Civic Center. So and then ECW to that measure, and then on Ring of Honor to that measure. So we always were a proving ground. We weren't just a great city. We're a proving ground for you. And yesterday, definitely people had to prove themselves to us. And we brought it and they brought it back.
Exactly. Another thing I wanted to point out was the arena or the venue. It wasn't the regular downtown arena that they use for hockey and the Sixers. No. Tell me where it was, because I know you went there last year for ROH.
Well, actually, no. That's a Tony Khan staple. The Liacouras Center is what Renee Paquette calls it. I normally people call it the Liacouras Center. But it's Temple University's arena. It is the home of their Temple Owl games and stuff like that. It's a really nice, great size arena for AEW and Ring of Honor to that measure. And they use it for Dynamite. They use it for they've used it for Dynamite, so they used it for Dynasty as well because they knew they were going to be able to fill it. They were going to be able to pack it.
Exactly.
So it's an awesome. It's an above average arena for an indie arena, but it's a great size arena for AEW and the size that they're able to do right now.
Yeah, and that's what they do here in Toronto, right? They've only gone to the Air Canada Centre / Scotiabank Arena for 2 shows a couple years ago, right? But outside of that, they typically run the smaller, the minor league hockey.
I would call medium. I would call this like medium size.
Yeah, exactly. In this arena, it's about 7K, right, Matt? About 7K at Coca-Cola?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, I can look that up real quick. But yeah, that sounds correct.
That's roughly about what we are with the Liacouras Center as well. Because I've not only gone there for that, I've gone there for other, comedy events, like major comedy events or stuff like that. It packs.
Yeah, exactly. Something that I was super interested in, and it's always the talk after or in the middle of the AEW show. That's just how long these shows are. Were you there for the entire show?
Yes, actually I was. And I just talked to somebody recently, just not too long ago this morning. And of course he's under the weather. So, when you're watching a pay-per-view, you're under the weather. time is going to drag. If you're really, really like he caught pneumonia, for God's sake. So he like time is probably dragging. For me, no, not necessarily the case. I didn't realize it was midnight by the time this whole thing was over. And I was like, wow, this thing is really, it really breezed by for me and for the crowd because we were enjoying it internally, if you will. And there is a different feel. There's a different feel when you go to a live event as opposed to when you do go to an event, to when you watch it on TV.
Exactly. Time does fly. Like that was something I for sure noticed at Forbidden Door, especially a few years ago, right? It's like,
even when you went to Elimination Chamber, I'm sure that breezed by as well.
Oh yeah. The WWE shows always breeze by. But everyone says it's too much. They're packing too much. They're doing too much.
I didn't feel that.
You didn't feel it, right?
We weren't tired. I don't know what audio you guys heard. I don't know if they pack because when you go to AEW, they kind of filter the audio. So it's actually, and honestly, I knew they did because let me tell you something. Those fireworks were insane. Like my watch, if you got an Apple Watch,
yep.
Especially the modern ones, if it's loud, it'll give you an alert saying the decimal is going to pick up, and if it stays like this for like more than 90 minutes, you're going to be deaf. Yeah. So those fireworks hit big, like it was like somebody was shooting a cannon out, and where I was sitting, I was in ringside, so it was like but even still, no matter where you are, you're going to feel the heat. And you're gonna feel the heat, and you're gonna hear the impact. But when you hear it, like I'm rewatching it now on pay-per-view, they filtered that sound, so it may sound like it's not as loud as you would think it is, but it was really loud. I mean, my voice I sound like Robert F. Kennedy right now. I'm really trying to sound like, I don't want to sound like a dude who like got every disease known to man. I'm trying to sound like Barry White at best. Yeah. By the time I go to the gym, I want to have that smooth, quiet storm voice.
Yeah, dude, you sound so hoarse. It's like, it's making me laugh because like, I know where you were. So it's just for me, it's actually hilarious.
By the time I get to the gym, I want to be like, hey, how you doing? But it sounds like a little bit more raspy and smooth. I want to sound like Mike from Boys to Men. I don't want to sound like this right now.
Exactly. Sitting where you were. Tell the listeners exactly where you were and what, like, just like walk us through the how you felt that night, because like there was so much that happened, so many notable stuff. We will run through the show, but like, right. How did it feel?
It's funny, when I bought that ticket, I looked into that ticket. I really lucked into that ticket because I got it like almost not last minute, but I was like, I decided I was going to go, and it just happened to be the only seat there. I had no idea it was behind the announcer's table. Not even just the announcer's table. I was behind the Spanish announce table. So, something was going to happen, and they didn't disappoint. It was inevitable. And I was right where the biggest, craziest spot with Mox and Swerve. And in fact, people I know have spotted me many times on the pay-per-view on air, and it was just like surreal. And I've been to AEW, I've been to many spots, and I've covered ROH for you guys. It's just surreal to be. And that was my first ringside seat to a pay-per-view since that close ever, because I was at WrestleMania 15 and I was lower level, but I was ringside. But that was pretty crazy for a pay-per-view event.
Yeah, we'll talk about that spot a little later. That spot did everything in wrestling that bothers me, but I don't want to take away from that spot. Let's talk about Dynasty in general. Matt, you just finished watching the show, more or less. What were your overall impressions on the show?
Yeah, so I really did like it. It was a very good show. Yeah, sorry, I switched to phone due to internet issues, but I think we got to figure it out now, Boris. But yeah, so the show itself, really liked it, but too much of a good thing, right? Like a 6-hour show, including the pre-show. Right. I just feel like if you do that every month, then people on the show are going to get hurt a little bit. Like, no one is going to talk about Adam Cole versus Daniel Garcia as a really good match. People are going to forget about Tony Storm versus Megan Bayne. It was a really good match. Yeah. Like, when you stack this show with 12 matches and everyone on the card goes 20 minutes and they all do every move they've ever seen, it just, your eyes tend to glaze. There can be too much of a good thing. Having said that, in chunks is what great show. And I bet the live experience was awesome, Dax. It seems like you had a blast.
No, I was not disappointed at all. Well, I will say this. I did pick a bathroom and food point to go to, and after looking at the match, I may have picked the right match to do that. But every other match was just it was all solid.
Yeah.
Like nobody in around me felt like that they were cheated. They felt like they had a good time. We were all enjoying each other's company. Yeah, it was I enjoyed it immensely.
Did they announce a return date?
No, they did not, but like this is my 5th time going to an AEW event. I don't think it's going to be a problem of them not coming back.
Exactly. How was the merch? The merch stance is always a talk at AEW shows and how little merch they have.
No, dude, that was loaded. Two things I couldn't do when I got there. I couldn't get any merch at that time because the lines were so long. I could not get food at the time because those lines were so long. But I will say this, I got a Swerve shirt. And I almost got, they actually have replicas of MGF's ring. I didn't know that they had, which was like was like 150. And I was like, I'm so tempted to get it, but I'm like, I already got this damn belt. I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to overfan.
There's no such thing as overfan. Well, there is.
Actually. I know. But I was like, at the same time, I'm like, the next time I probably decide I want to get it is probably because the tariffs is going to be like 1,000. So I probably should have got it right there. Exactly.
Just remember, folks, this is a tariff-free show here on A+ Productions.
Yes, it is. We are grateful.
So talking about the whole merch thing, something that at least here in Toronto they do, and I know they do it in some other cities, and you always should look into this, is pre-purchasing merch before the event so that you can all you need to do is pick it up. The more and more they're doing that.
That's awesome. I wish I would have known that. That would have helped me greatly.
Yeah. It's probably like,
and it's very smart. That's very, it's very
send
smart.
An email. That's the part that gets to me. You have to check on the app or somewhere of the.
Boris, how many times have we talked about that they didn't do stuff that they should have done?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't Samoa Joe just have a video game? No, he was the main villain, and nobody mentioned anything about it.
Right. Exactly. All right, let us get to the show. AEW Dynasty 2025. Let's go real quick through the 0 hour. The Crew, Lio Rush and Action Andretti, and Nick Wayne versus Kip Sabian and Top Flight, which is Darius and Dante Martin, along with AR Fox. Mother Wayne interferes, knocks AR off the top rope. Wayne hits Wayne's World, and that's how they win. Thoughts, Matt?
I thought this was quite good. Definitely a high energy opener to get the crowd into it. The first move of the entire night is AR Fox just yeeting himself out of the ring, just doing the Undertaker dive over the top rope. That's how the night started, which actually I love. I love stuff like that's perfect AEW. That tells you what you're in for. They did announce that Nick Wayne is joining the New Japan Best of the Super Juniors this year, which is huge for his career. That's really good. This is exactly what you thought it would be on paper, but that's fine. It was a high-flying 6-man tag opener. I enjoyed it.
Dax, thoughts?
Interesting thoughts, because I was in line waiting to get food at this whole time, so I missed the entire thing. I watched it for the first time this morning. AR Fox, probably his biggest profile match of his entire run in AEW. I don't think he's ever gotten this much shine in AEW at all. Like, he really showcased himself this time around. He felt like he was the ring general of this entire match. I enjoyed it. It was very fast paced. And yeah, you talking about the Super Juniors tournament? I'm excited. I haven't been excited for the Super Juniors tournament in like decades. Like, this may be one of the dopest ones since the since the old ones from back in the day.
Yeah,
with Jericho and them and Ultimo Dragon. Like, there's some prospects in this.
Yeah, like this is honestly the first one I care about really since Mike Bailey was in it a few years ago, right? Like that when that crew, like that one is a great one. But yeah, no, it's good to see him do that. Huge congrats to him. And again, like Matt, you said it best. This is a huge thing for his career. Say what you want about Nick Wayne. That dude is a talent.
We need to see the Nick Wayne we've been hearing about for quite some time now.
Exactly. Open challenge match, Max Caster versus Unknown. The Unknown and it ended up being Anthony Bowens. I don't know what they're doing with Max Caster at this point. I really don't know. I don't like it.
Right. Agreed. I really do. With that said, this is when I actually came into the arena right in time for this. If all this was just to push Anthony Bowens, which I don't have a problem with. I thought he looked great. I thought he came in. We loved him out there. I just feel like I hate the fact, like you said, that it's sacrificing Max Caster in the process. And where's this leading to with him? With that said, Bowens looked incredible. I liked his new look. I like where they're going with him. He's becoming a serious dude, and damn, that haymaker sold greatly. I mean, say what you will about Max, but he sold that greatly. Oh, I don't know if you guys didn't see this, but he sold it so well that he was loopy going up the stage, and as they were doing the video package, the crowd was trying to cheer him just to get up to the stage. He was overselling himself. It was hilarious.
I love shit like that.
Yeah, Max, they need to do something with Max. They need to. After this, do something with Max in a way, because the way he was healing at the crowd, and he has the crowd. Yeah, I agree. They need to do something with him.
Yeah, Matt, thoughts on all this?
Okay. So Anthony Bowens' new package, new presentations, he's pretty good. He is the 5-tool player, the pride of pro wrestling, and it seems like he's due for a push here with the crowded roster in AEW. We're going to see how far he gets, but I hope they give him a legit chance. With Max Caster, I do like the gimmick. I like the act, I think, a little more than you guys. I think it's a fun idea, right? Like best wrestler alive, open challenge, and he just gets obliterated every time. Like, it's a fun idea.
It is very fun. Agreed. But
it does restrict this guy to be like a Simon Dean level, like an absolute jabroni of all jabroni level guy, right? Like he's No Way Jose. And it's like,
oh God.
He could be better than No Way Jose, you know what I mean? But it's a fun idea, but I do agree. It keeps him at like the bottom of the barrel on the card.
The Simon Dean reference, though. Kudos.
I haven't heard that name since the guy got released properly.
Let's just hope he doesn't. If Max comes out with a segue, that's going to be an issue.
Exactly. I love it. All right, so that was that. Then onto the main show. But having said that, right, and Matt, you and I talked about this last time. These, again, good matches, fun matches. They did some cool interviews. They did some cool build-up. But this 0 hour didn't persuade me, if I wasn't already a paying customer, to buy the show. I really do believe that this next match should have been the main event of 0 hour. Because if I saw this next match, I would have been, purchase.
That's an interesting point. You just know, though, that you would have a large contingent of fans going, why is Will Ospreay on the pre-show? Bah, bah, bah. Neglecting the fact that more people watch the pre-show than the actual show every single time anyway. But I don't know. I guess you can't not do things because fans might complain about it. But I do think a lot of fans would be up in arms if they did it. Although I agree with you. You always make that point. The pre-show doesn't have to be the preliminaries like UFC. It doesn't have to be, although it is treated as such.
Yeah. I think that and this is a bigger issue, but I'm just going to touch on this real quick, is that wrestling companies, Tony Khan and Triple H, listen to fans too often.
I like it. I like that take.
Right? All right. Main show. And this is the match that I was referring to that would have persuaded people to buy this show. And that is Will Ospreay versus Kevin Knight for the men's Owen Hart tournament match. Great, high energy opener. Yes, I that's the pun intended.
No, honestly, yeah, it really did. And we were looking at Knight and Kevin Knight in this whole. It is Kevin Knight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. The attention wasn't much on Ospreay for me. It was much on Kevin Knight and how Philly was going to perceive him, because you're going up. I mean, for you to get that accolade to be able to wrestle, somebody in the likes of Ospreay means something. It means that you're able to, keep up with them. It means that you're going to be able to showcase him. I thought he did an incredible job showing us what he was able to do. And if you heard the crowd embraced him greatly. Like, this dude is a really good prospect. It was, like I said, this is one of those Apollo moments where you got to make it or break it. And he made it with flying colors. No pun intended on that.
Yeah. I love that. I love that, the Apollo moment, because it's a deep reference too, and how the crowd perceives you, and the crowd will determine whether you go on or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that a lot. Yeah, and Matt, thoughts on this match?
Yeah, it was a great showing for Kevin Knight. The announcers did a really good job making you care about this guy. On the pre-show, they said this about Kevin Knight, and they say this about everyone, but it's actually true in this case. This guy has charisma. He has an it factor. He really does. And he's like, you're like, who's this guy? I want to hear what he has to say. I want to follow him more. He's got a good look. I like the Hart style, the Bret Hart style glasses coming into the Owen Cup was a very nice touch. And this was a good match for sure. Like, Will Ospreay is an outstanding wrestler, top 2 or 3 in the entire world, can have a good match with a stick. But Kevin Knight he did his part here. And this was, a very good opener. Although, like, obviously Knight wasn't going to win, nor should he. Right. Will Ospreay's probably going to win this tournament and hopefully the title. So with the constraints that no one knows who this guy is and no one thinks he's going to win, he still came out and had a really good match with Will.
My thing too was that, like, you talked about that, like, he can wrestle with a stick. Luckily, he didn't have to. Luckily, he did. He worked with somebody who can hold his own weight, and it was a great dance that they had. It wasn't nobody leading anybody. They were synchronized in this case, and it was great. It was a great opening.
It was a fun match, right? Say what you want about the kick out. Say what you want about blah, blah, blah. I was sports entertained for this match, and that's all that fucking matters. Like, that's the end of the day. That's it. All right, let us move on to the next match. The Hurt Syndicate versus the Learning Trees, Big Bill and Brian Keith. And this was for the AEW World Tag Team Championship match. Dax, Philadelphia. How loved was the Hurt Syndicate?
That wasn't the reason why I lost my voice, I will tell you that, because it doesn't take much to say we heard people. Yep. But we were chanting that, cultivating the chant with that. These dudes are the best thing since Doom. Argue me with it. I've watched Doom. I was at Halloween Havoc when they debuted. And these guys got it. Like, it's Doom with a kung fu grip. Okay. These guys are absolutely awesome. MVP's presence was absolutely awesome in this whole thing, and we lit up for it. And I will give Big Bill and the Bad Apple credit. They didn't get a good lead up to this whole thing, but I felt they handled themselves pretty damn well in the match itself, and that's what it matters to me at the end. So I thought I enjoyed the match. I definitely enjoyed the match.
Here's something that not too many people know. At the Chris Van Vliet live show with the Hurt Syndicate at Elimination Chamber weekend, the Hurt Syndicate actually said this match was supposed to happen at the previous pay-per-view. And if you recall, those Dynamites, they were being like, the Learning Tree was being built up. But because of an injury, that match didn't happen, and they had to quickly change directions. But this was the plan.
Interesting.
Anyways.
Well, executed very well, in my opinion.
Yep, there we go. Something that the cameras miss, and one of the things that we talk about here on BAM and A+ Productions, always the production side of things, is that when MJF punched Big Bill, the camera missed it.
Right. Well, they did replay it, thank goodness. Because even from where my vantage point was, it was like, what just happened? Yeah. And it took them to replay it to see, like, okay, I see what's going on. Because I'm literally on that side where they were, where he poked out at that part. So yeah, I'm glad that they at least replayed it when I rewatched it.
Yep. And let's see where this whole MJF MVP Hurt Syndicate thing goes, because obviously this is the start of something. By the way, you're winners. And still AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Hurt Syndicate. All right, the next match is for the Women's Owen Hart Cup Tournament. Mercedes Moné versus Julia Hart. Mercedes Moné ends up winning this match. Matt, thoughts on this match?
This to me is more proof, not that we needed it, that Mercedes Moné is the best female wrestler alive right now.
Don't say that
in
too
ring.
loud. Don't say that too loud.
I don't care. I don't care who knows it. I'll yell it from the treetops. In ring, better than anyone in Stardom right now. Right now, at this moment, today, on what is it, April 7th? 2025, Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks is the best female wrestler on the planet Earth. Period. The best in any country. And there are great ones, and she might not hold the belt for long. But to get this match out of Julia Hart, who's still new at this, who's improving rapidly, but she's Julia Hart. You know what I mean? Like, God bless her. She's not friggin' Miko Satomura in there. And this was another excellent match. She has nothing but bangers. I don't understand how people don't see this with this performer. A brilliant performer, and it was another great match. And this was, to me, it was just like, okay, literally, like, I can't even think of anyone in Stardom who's better than her right now. I can't even think of anyone on the planet who's better than her right now. Roxanne Perez, who we love, Stephanie Vaquer, all the killers in NXT. Mercedes is the best female wrestler alive today.
I wouldn't go that far. She's better than what people say, but I wouldn't say she's the best.
Right.
But yeah, but it was this one. But this match again goes to show you like what Mercedes can do, right? Like she can carry people through matches similar to what we were saying about the Will Ospreay match. This is another, similar situation where everyone knew Julia Hart wasn't going to win, but it was still a half decent match.
Right. So this was in fact the match that I decided to go break to get something, but I just rewatched it. And it was, I will say this, Matt, you're right. She is a hell of a talent. And if not for her leading in that ring and being the ring general that she was, this match could have gotten way worse. But with that said, she was able to help Julia get along with that match. There were some hits and some misses through the match. But at the end, it got really good at that match. But when you said that, about Stardom, because I finally started watching some Stardom matches, and I started wondering what makes Stardom so good and why the the wrestlers there wrestle like they have nothing to lose and much more to gain, whereas American wrestlers or wrestlers who only wrestle in America seem to always be a little bit cautious and hesitant when they're in the ring. I feel like Julia needs to take a trip to Japan. I feel like if she takes a trip to Japan for a few months, I think she's going to be fine-tuned and come back like, wow. Because the wrestlers in Stardom, they go it all out. And women who have wrestled in Stardom, also, we see Mariah May and we see Toni Storm and Megan Bayne and all. They don't hold back. They don't care about their looks and all that stuff. They go all out and just put it all in the ring respectfully. I think Julia works really hard, but I feel like if she's with the right people, like Mercedes, she will absolutely shine. But she needs to go even further, in Japan and fine tune herself.
That makes a lot of sense. We saw, Mercedes went to Japan and she improved drastically.
Exactly. But Mercedes is a different type of cat. She was already that good going in, and she only got better coming out.
And Mercedes is the type who watched like Manami Toyota and friggin' Kagusa Nagayo and the legends in Joshi in the past. And it also helped Anna Jay went, right? Like
Anna Jay, yes.
I like that call a lot. Julia Hart should hop over to Japan for 6 months. That's a great call.
And then also the psychology of Mercedes is just brilliant. Even if she slips, she knows how to pick it back up. She knows how, she doesn't get discouraged. I watch LFG and stuff like that, how those rookies were doing like that. She knows how to pick it up and keep it going.
Yep. Great call. Great call on that one. All right, the next match is for the always forgotten AEW World Trios Championships. Your champions, the Death Riders, Claudio Castagnoli, Pac, and Wheeler Yuta versus rated FTR, Cope, Cash, Wheeler, and Dax, the other Dax, Harwood. So,
oh boy,
where do we start on this one?
Let me say, yeah. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah. Go. Okay, I was just gonna say off the top, Death Riders win. LOL. 14 minutes and 43 seconds. I did think it was a good match. The best thing that Cope has done, probably since he came back from his broken leg. FTR looked really good. Big FTR heel turn at the end. Are we getting Edge and Christian return now? Are we getting the Edge and Christian reunion? Christian's just going to turn babyface with Edge? What's going on here, fellas?
That's what
the seeds seem to be planning. I mean, you got Nick Wayne, kind of almost slightly distancing himself slowly but surely. You got this that just happened. It feels like it's inevitable at this point. I will say this. The most important thing I knew this match was going to be solid. That's not my problem. My problem was Philly going to be able to sing that damn song? I was still waiting to get food, and I heard them, and I'm like, oh my God, please don't embarrass us in Philly. Please don't embarrass us in Philly. I'm proud to say they got through. They were able to get through that damn song. I was like, oh, thank God. Because shout out to overseas crowds. I don't know what y'all do. I don't know what you guys do over there, but y'all seem to have a choir rehearsal before there's a loaded, crowded choir rehearsal before, and note from note, y'all get it every single time. Then he come back to the States, and it's like we get it. This is very telling of our society right now.
Organization.
But no, Philly brought it. I was happy, and I just happened to then come back. I'm like, I'm not going back in here if they embarrassed themselves. I'm in the ringside.
Yeah, this match, what it was, right? Like, these championships, no point in having them anymore, in my opinion. But it is what it is. And we'll see where they go from this. All right, the next match for the AEW Women's World Championship, Toni Storm, the best thing in professional wrestling right now, versus Megan. Nice to see ya, Bane. This is the thing, right? The AEW does this a lot. They bring in someone huge or someone, build them up. They get the title shot, lose that title shot. They don't even have Rampage to follow.
We don't see him anymore,
right?
Yeah.
Is this going to happen to Megan Bane, Matt?
Well, yeah, I see both sides of the coin. Maybe, yes. And the problem is not bringing in a big heel, feeding them to the dominant champ. That's fine. That's wrestling. The problem is the follow-up, which is non-existent almost every single time. But this is how you book a Hulk Hogan, a John Cena, whatever. Yeah. And that's what Toni Storm is in the women's division right now. You bring in a monster, push them to the moon for a month, have the match, and have the person vanquish the monster, right? But let's hope the rest of her career is I don't know, King Kong Bundy 86 and not King Kong Bundy 95. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. That's the thing, right? And then I think you hit the nail on the head. It's the follow-up. We know how that's the age-old formula in wrestling with champion faces, right? You bring someone big in, they get the match, and they lose. But like you said, the big thing is the follow-up. Dax, thoughts?
I thought the match was solid. I really enjoyed it. It was entertaining. Didn't know how it was going to come out because she could have easily have taken that title. But normally the formula is she loses once to get some momentum, and then she picks it up from there. So she did, and she made her look still dominant because she barely got out of there alive. So I like the story being told in that whole entire thing. Luther was also a big deal in this match because the crowd loved him as he takes Penelope for. By the way, all Philly people are heels in AEW tonight. Which is hilarious in here. You got Action, you had Huda, and you have Penelope for all heels in here.
Forget that Huda's from Philly. You would never guess that.
Oh, we did not forget that. We reminded them big time of that. Yep. But Yeah, that match, I enjoyed the match. I enjoyed it. The crowd enjoyed it. Yeah, let's see where they go with Megan Bay. I will also say this. HD does not do her justice. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, I know. H triple D does not do her justice at all.
Relax over there. No, that's hilarious. That's a good line. I thought this was a great showing. I really like Toni Storm's gimmick of getting the small package over the inside cradle, like Bryan Danielson. That fits her perfectly. The old timey wrestling gal, tightest package in the business. By God.
Owen Hart. Owen Cup. Oh, you know what I'm going to say. I'm flustered right now. Men's Owen Hart Cup tournament match. Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe. Ooh. Kyle Fletcher ends up winning after 2 running kicks in the corner and a brainbuster on the turnbuckle. This match was all right. Here's the thing about this match. Like, this match didn't need to be on the pay-per-view.
This could have been actually the 0 hour match that would have picked up. I think that one, I think they could have, I think both, I'm not saying they phoned it in, but those two, we've seen better matches with those two, but this match was solid, but we know they could go Super Saiyan. Both of them.
That's exactly it. This is the 4th time they've wrestled in like a year, which is, these guys are like wrestling soulmates. They fit each other so perfectly. I'm digging Kyle Fletcher's like giant El Generico moveset right now. Like, Kyle Fletcher's an excellent wrestler. Mark Briscoe is one of the best on the planet to this day. I love Mark Briscoe. They fit each other like a glove. But it's like you said, we've already seen them have like 3 matches, one of which crazy weapons match. So they did kind of just not go through the motions, but they gave their B+ effort. The thing is, these guys are so good and they fit so well together that their B+ is still probably like the 2nd or 3rd best match on the entire show.
Exactly. Yeah. Well said.
Perfectly said. So much so, I'm going to move. Oh, fuck. Then this next match. Title versus mask match for the ROH World Championship. Chris Jericho versus Bandito. You know, I try to be very positive. You know I do. I try so fucking hard to be positive about stuff. I always try to look on the bright side of stuff. But Jericho, man, he's a shadow of his former self. Like, yeah, you know, Jericho has become the reason why he left WCW.
That's such a great call. That's exactly true. And it's sad to see, even like to see how far he's fallen in the fans' estimation. And I guess you could probably say in the ring since AEW started in the last 5 years. Think of what he's lost on his legacy and on the fastball, you know? So I most fans are just kind of like rolling their eyes at this point when they see Jericho. I think it's time to do something to turn a babyface and give him the Sting run and shutter him out the company as a full-time wrestler. Sad to say, you never want to tell somebody to stop, or if Jericho doesn't want to stop, go to ROH, go to Evolve, go to TNA, go somewhere else, because I think AEW fans have had their fill of Chris Jericho. And if he did want to retire and do one last run, I do think that they would get that love back. But barring that, I don't see any way that Chris Jericho is accepted by these fans again. It's like a worse situation than when Cody left. The fans just have no time for this guy.
It's funny you said that too, because people around me, there were people saying like, please retire, and they're a little bit tired. Some people were still cheering for him. I mean, respectfully. The match itself for me, it was a solid match. It didn't go up the scale, it didn't go down the scale, but I will say this. They hooked us with that dusty finish sort of kind of thing. Because that was 2 times that they got us to, this night. Because when he actually won, or we thought that he won, the crowd, they bought it. The crowd bought it. And I should have known that this is the normal trope that Tony Khan does. By making us think that I'm like, are they really going to unmask this dude? First of all, I didn't even know it was the mask was on the line until somebody said it on social media. So I didn't know that. I knew there was a title match, but I didn't know the mask was on the line. which told me they was telegraphing it. But then they went and did this, and it was like, I can't believe he lost. And they dragged it and dragged it and dragged it until Aubrey came out, and the family was starting to say, like, this dude got a bat in there. And I'm like, oh no, they're turning it. They're turning this. They turned this around, and the crowd got hype again. So I would say, from a live crowd standpoint, the match was effective because the crowd reacted majorly to it. And when he won, it even more gravitated to it. So I thought the match was successful in that sense. But yeah, at some point, it's time for Jericho to sit alongside with Jeff Jarrett, and they have a beer.
Exactly. Jeff Jarrett. Alrighty. AEW TNT Championship match. Daniel Garcia versus Adam Cole. I do have to say this. Having a similar injury to what Adam Cole went through, every time I see Adam Cole land on his feet, I gasp a little bit.
Wait, say that one more time.
Every time I see Adam Cole land on his feet or do something with his ankles and stuff, I gasp a little bit. No,
because he knows how to sell it really, really well.
Yeah, I thought it was smart.
I don't think he's fully selling, though. I think it's also partial pain.
That might be right. I thought he's smart to work it into his matches, though. I have Cage Match loaded up here. This is currently at a 5.68 out of 10. That's drastically underrated, but that's the problem with these shows when you've seen so many things already, and this is match 10 out of 12 on the night, 3.5 hours into the show. This is why the length of shows hurts AEW sometimes, because Adam Cole and Daniel Garcia had actually a really good match here. I actually really liked it. I always like Daniel Garcia's work. I like Adam Cole's work, and people just did not give this one a chance. And you can't even blame the fans who didn't watching the show on television. But yeah, I thought this was a really good match. I think the right person probably won, although I am worried in the AEW way what happens to Daniel Garcia next.
Right.
But,
I will add to that. It wasn't just the crowd on the people watching TV. It was the crowd. This was the time that we got to recuperate. We didn't give it too much heat, and we didn't give it too much steam in terms of like it was a solid match. We almost watched it like a 90s Japanese audience. Like, we enjoyed the match, but we watched intently and quietly as we were doing it. So it was a good, again, another good solid match, but we weren't really as invested in it as we were all the matches around it.
Right. Yeah. It totally makes sense. You can feel that energy. It definitely was like that on the TV. And if you read the online comments, it definitely seems like that was the case for most of the people watching this show.
Yeah.
And something else that's been bothering me a lot is anyone who fucking pokes fun at like how small Adam Cole is, blah, 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 blah. Number one, sit the fuck down. These guys are professionals. Number two, let me tell you how hard it is to go to the gym and do basic normal shit when your ankle shatters the way that it does.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Matt, you know, I'm walking normal, but there's still a bit of a limp to my step. Yeah. Right. And
yeah, absolutely. And and this guy is also dealing with body shaming comments and the fact that was he engaged to Britt, or they were just together like engaged. Common law forever?
They were engaged.
They were engaged. So he broke up with a fiance, had 2 major injuries in the last few years. He's like, it's like a lot of wrestling fans are just really rude and unfair to wrestlers, and we do try to appreciate this business and be fair. Although
it's not just wrestling, my friend.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. But yeah. Obviously, that's just the internet and kind of culture in 2025. But like all of us listening to this podcast, let's not fucking lose sight that these are professional stuntmen risking their lives for us, for our entertainment here.
Even more, they're human beings.
Yes, absolutely.
And this is something that I talk about on my show very often because I always have a saying, whether it's wrestling, whether it's anime, comics, movies, games, or whatever, or just in any issue. Social media doesn't hide one's intelligence. It exposes it. And what I normally discover is that people we're no matter where we are, whether it's you guys in Canada, whether it's us here in the United States, there's a worldwide epidemic of resentment and hate and envy, and all because people aren't able to do the thing, or they feel like they're not able to do the things that other people may be able to do, like we do, like they do. Like, they want to be in that limelight, but also there's some people who don't want to put in that work to do it. And when they see other people enjoying it, they often want to throw in like self-fulfilling prophecies, or just try to, just throw shade on anything, because it's basically what people need to understand. All that's code for, I hate the way my life is going.
No.
Yeah, that's exactly.
There's
right.
a lot of that. There's a lot of that in wrestling fandom. Like anyone talking about Adam Cole's relationships who haven't fucking spoken to a woman in 4 years.
My point, exactly. So you got to really, you got to read into that.
It's a lot of
what that really is, what that translates to.
Right. It's a lot of projection.
Yes, Boris. Yeah.
A lot of projection. Absolutely.
All right. Not that
agreed.
Any three of us here have our lives put together fully, but it's a work in progress.
I think we're doing okay. I think we're doing more than okay.
I have a roof. I have my belt. I have the gracious comic you gave me.
There you go.
That's all I need.
Look, I'll share. I'm 19 years, going on 20 years married. I'm a business owner. I do this show with you guys.
You got
I
your
do
beautiful
my own gig.
dog.
There you go. So and cat. The cat is looking at me right now, a little fun, like, you better mention me, bitch.
Matt's got a cat.
Well, I'm saying, like, we happy. No, here's the thing. We happy, and guess what? Reality check. Happy people don't hate. Enough said. That's going to be the new wrestling shirt of 2027.
Happy people.
Now let's get to the main event where we hate on it. No, there's still.
I wish that would have been the perfect segue. And the next match, that fucking match.
But yeah, anyways. So just to dot the I and cross the T, Adam Cole is the new AEW TNT champion. Adam Cole defeats Daniel Garcia in what is an underrated match that just
agreed.
It just fell through the cracks of this long ass AEW show. There's always one or two matches that fall through the cracks, and this was the one on this show.
But it was still you look back at it, it's a solid, fun match and technical match. I enjoyed it pretty much, really.
We've been talking about follow-up, and this next match has a couple people who need good follow-ups. So AEW, please do the right thing with some of these people and follow that up. And this next match was for the AEW International Championship, where your champion Kenny Omega went up against Ricochet and Speedball Mike Bailey.
Oh, my
insane. 30 minutes and 56 seconds, and I go,
was it really?
It felt like half that, but yeah, this went over 30 minutes, bell to bell.
Yeah, it felt like it went by quickly, but it was just like everything was happening, everything all at once. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. I tell you what, the cigarette came when Kenny Omega's entrance popped in. And it was funny because I'm not normally a fan of the Final Fantasy theme, but when you see it live, my hair was all everywhere. I was smoking. I was like, what just happened?
I know, right? Exactly. This match was great. Again, go ahead, Matt.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I didn't like the theme song change at first, but it's grown on me.
Yeah, it is. It is grown on me too.
Extremely epic. But yeah, this whole match was epic. The gifable moment was Ricochet on the commentary, stole Tony Schiavone's headset, and then Mike Bailey kicked it clean off his head, broke the headset. That was amazing. But they came up with so many innovative, interesting spots. You could say 30 minutes went too long. And if it went too long for you watching the show, I totally understand. That's a fair criticism. But for me, I felt like it flew by. I thought it was half that length. I was shocked when I saw 30 minutes, 56 seconds for this one.
Wow. I was too, actually.
I feel like it went by.
Yeah.
I feel like it went by like a flash. And here's the thing, too. What was I going to say? No, I was so amazed. This was another Apollo, what I call an Apollo match. Let's call it that. Not many, if you're hardcore, you know who Speedball Mike Bailey is. But there's still a crowd of fans who don't know because they didn't watch TNA. for a bit, or they didn't watch his other stuff. So this was kind of like his first real setting with a crowd. And then again, the proving ground. I knew he wasn't going to be a problem. He more than delivered. Ricochet more than delivered. And of course, Kenny more than delivered. It was just you can only do a better match probably maybe in a video game.
Maybe
if the AI is good.
Which you can check out our review of WWE 2K25 over at ACMG. Talk Time Live.
Bing, bing, bing.
Hey.
Omega wins this with a one-winged angel from the second rope on Ricochet. After the match, Okada comes out. Omega and Okada give each other lovingly eyes to most likely set up the merger of the International and Continental Championships to be called the Intercontinental Championship. And all in.
Oh, I was thinking they would go with Continental.
Oh, wow. Can I tell you, like, you talk about resentment and envy. Talk about a guy who just gets paid just to come out to the ring for a few seconds and then bail. And just he's just counting money as he goes up the ramp.
Yep.
We were talking in arenas like, yo, how does it feel to just be able to just, you ain't got to wrestle that night. You just come out and do your thing and just, that's it. That is a dream job, folks.
That is a dream job. Says the people who talk into a microphone, right?
Yeah, how about that?
Then after all of that, it was finally time for the main event for the AEW World Championship. Your champion, Jon Moxley, versus Swerve Strickland. Dax, the first thing I need to ask, how loud was the pop for Swerve? And why is he one of the most over wrestlers in the world?
Because he's one of the most genuine, natural dudes that you've ever seen. Like he's one of those guys that he's not putting on a show. That's him on camera. That's him on the mic. That's him in person. Like, you gravitate to reality. That's what got me into wrestling. Dusty Rhodes is the reason why I am sitting here talking to you guys right now, because when I watched him as opposed to a Hulk Hogan who just came off too cartoony in the 80s, I gravitated to somebody who I felt like I can really, connect with and talk to. Swerve is in that same, like Eddie Kingston. Those two guys are these guys that that you could, like, you would know, like, I'm talking to you, like they're one of us. So yeah, he's that dude. And anybody else that he goes against should be the polar opposite. And this was that, like, slightly one of those cases. In a sense, like, Moxley's kind of one of us in that sense too, but the better he goes against, like, the opposite establishment type of dude, the better he's off. But Swerve he's the Kendrick Lamar of wrestling. There's no other way to put it. And anybody else is not like us.
Who's the Drake then?
Oh, Ricochet without question.
We did this riff on the year-end show, and it was great. Anyone, if you haven't listened to that, please go check it out. I love those year-end shows with everyone on the staff. And yeah, you made that point, Dax, and that's so perfect. And I do feel like they kind of leaned into that during their feud. But yeah, no, that's why it pains you. That's why it pains you to see Swerve get done dirty like this. Right. Although I'm sure he'll get another world title push at some point. But yeah, so the Young Bucks help Jon Moxley to defeat Swerve when Swerve had Moxley pinned, dead to rights, hit him with the stomp. Lights go out. It is not Sabu, sadly. It is the Young Bucks, and they hit their finishing move on Swerve Strickland, and the Young Bucks help Jon Moxley win. So months ago, Boris, like 6-8 months ago, on various podcasts that we've done in various places, we talked about when the Death Riders like reveal their motivation, it should be the Young Bucks or the Elite kind of behind this, because they both were doing the same thing. Like, the Elite were doing the hostile takeover of AEW gimmick, and then they just totally dropped it for the Death Riders to do the exact same gimmick. So we said the only way that would make any sense is if it turns out they actually were working together this whole time, Problem is, that's a storyline beat that you should have gotten to fucking 7 months ago.
Right.
And now, when you have Swerve, when you have so many people sick of this story, and you have a perfect candidate for this title change, and it seemed like it was actually happening, and then the Young Bucks came in and did their thing, it felt like House of Torture. It felt like the worst of the bloodline. It just felt like lazy booking to extend a wrestling feud. Did it not?
Here's the thing.
Wow, that bad? The House of Torture?
Yeah, right, come on.
House of Torture. I'm saying it.
Wow.
Damn. Yeah, no, but here's the thing with me. People are already sick of the Young Bucks. People are already sick of the Death Riders. Putting them together is not going to make anyone like this at all. In fact, I'm going to be very interested to see what the ratings look like this Wednesday and next Wednesday, because I know that there are people, Bob Kapoor and others, who will not watch based on the fact that they know that the Young Bucks are now back in a very prominent role.
Now, with that said, because we haven't seen them in quite some time, we might have a refresh feel. We'll see how they go. It depends on how they package themselves from this point on. We'll see how that goes. But I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, the crowd took them pretty damn well, despite the fact that we all thought that we were going to see a title change legit. And I will say that I'm not mad at the match because of the emotion that they granted us in that match. We were able to be invested in that match, and I wasn't mad at the end result. And I don't think a lot of people were mad at the end result, even though we would have loved to have seen that change. I will say this too. I don't know, because I haven't watched the rest of it, but did they show the talking segment, the closing segment with Swerve? Okay. No. All right. We'll talk about that after your thoughts, after everything goes down with that.
Yep. The other thing for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry,
definitely let us know. Yeah, Boris, just because you had mentioned that you had a problem with the spot, the crazy Swerve stomp that Dax was right in front of. So please, sorry to interrupt. Get into it. I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, so here's the thing, right? Beautiful spot, great spot, smart, but the setup and then just the waiting that Mox was doing for Swerve to properly set himself up for the stomp completely took me out of it. Having said that, respect and kudos, but that is the thing in wrestling that always bothers me, and I say it every time that it's really noticeable, where waiting for the next spot, right? And that was one of those cases. It was just like no fault to any of them. I don't know how you pull that off to make it look smoother, but if you can't make it look smooth or whatever, maybe don't do that spot. It just really it really took me out of the match. That you were right there. You got awesome video of it.
Yeah, it was surreal. It was like surreal to see that all happening. But I will also give Paul Turner some credit, because I never know if they're actually really talking during these seconds of trying to stop. He was, I don't know if you could really hear him in the video, but he was really like playing that role of trying to get them to stop, from doing this and everything. Paul Turner is awesome. We don't give that dude enough credit. He's been with Ring of Honor since the jump, and then he transitioned on to AEW. I've always appreciated his refereeing, but aside from that, I never really noticed the timing of it. I just know that something crazy was about to happen, and it did. So I got to look back at it when I rewatched the whole thing. But yeah, I do agree. Like, there are times when because you got to be at some point you got to be sure that they're going to be safe when doing it, and sometimes you got to ask yourself, is it worth it if it means that we have to really be taking time for caution? In that sense, I don't think, to me, they took that long. I think there were other spots that I've seen throughout the night where, or other times where they take too much time while this guy's laying on the ground or whatever like that, and they're like, they should have been awake right now to move away. They should but no, I agree. Maybe they need to rethink stuff like that. But either way, the execution was impactful.
Yep. The last thing that I want to really talk about is with the whole Young Bucks and Death Rider stuff is I'm guessing this is the start of setting up a blood and guts match.
Yeah.
Yeah. They usually Blood and Guts for sure is probably coming at some point before All In or slightly after. Also, don't they usually do Anarchy in the arena at Double or Nothing?
They usually, Double or Nothing seems to be the home of Anarchy in the Arena.
Right. So
which is like the spiritual successor of the Stadium Stampede.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that might be coming, either or both might be coming on that show. Both aren't going to be on the same show, but you know what I mean? Yeah, and that seems to be where we're going with this, like the Death Riders and the Young Bucks versus coalition of baby faces, and they're going to be the thing that gets Swerve and Hangman to kind of squash their beef, which I guess makes sense. But yeah, to me, this is it's classic AEW storytelling. Like if this would have happened 5 months ago when it made a little more sense and there was a little more appetite for it, I think people would have received this match a lot better. I actually thought the match was pretty good. Right now on Cage Match, it has a 4.27, a failing grade. And a lot of it is people like 0 out of 10. I think this is the worst main event. I'm out on AEW. Tony Khan's fucking idiot, blah, 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 blah. But and it's like, honestly, at this point, I don't even think that's all bad faith trolls. Like, I understand being an actual AEW fan who's cheering for this brand and wants it to work. And it's just like, why are we still doing this? But Tony has a plan and he sets it in stone. And this title is not fucking changing until they get to Texas. And that's that. So that's that.
Here's my thing, too. You know, wrestling fans, Marvel fans, anime fans are all connected. I wonder if sometimes it's the same bitter people who go into wrestling threads and say those exact same things, and then go into Marvel Studios threads and say those same things, and then go to other threads and go to Nintendo's thread.
Let me check Facebook for some of our members' posts in other groups.
Yeah, exactly. If they post on IGN, I guarantee they are throwing shade.
I love
but you know what though? Like
stuff.
We do. That's so funny. That's so funny. I do trust Blaine and Bob Kapoor, people that we mentioned on this podcast who we love and listen to our show, but they have their opinions and they set them in stone. Bob Kapoor will not give Orange Cassidy a chance. He will not give the Young Bucks a chance. But I do believe that he's not doing it in bad faith. You know what I mean? Like he's not just trying to be
right. No, like, they have organic opinions.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And I worry that sometimes, I mean, it's very clear a lot of the time that that's not the case with wrestling fans. But in this case, I'm willing to believe that a lot of fans who went in good faith and wanted to see something different, and after getting the same exact story for the last 10 months or whatever it is, are just like, what are we doing here, guys? You know?
Can I add to that though, real quick? See, here's the thing. I grew up in the 80s. You know, I'm born in 1977. I grew up in the 80s during the Crockett era. And that era, that generation, that time was a very story patient era where we watched years of the Four Horsemen, okay, and enjoyed years of the Four Horsemen. We now live in what I call a short attention society.
Yeah.
And we are a society that basically...
For those of you, I'm showing TikTok on camera. That's why.
There you go. And actually, let's be real. It was Twitter was the beginning of that when we started only writing in 120 characters.
It was
so we had to
MySpace
simplify
when you started ranking your friends and adding funny music to your page.
That's hilarious.
I mean, it goes back to all that.
So social media definitely sped up the decline. They used to say this in the 90s about TV and music too, and guess what? They weren't wrong. It's been sped up with social media for sure.
It is crazy because it's now we live in a generation where now people I can't speak for Canada, but United States has a academic issue in terms of reading comprehension, in terms of being able to articulate properly, and people who only give their opinions based on the headlines rather than taking time to read the article and even researching that article for that measure. We are in unprecedented times where we don't take the time
Yeah.
to enjoy things the way they should.
One of the biggest issues there, right, is when people be putting opinion as fact, you know? I'm on fire.
See what you did there.
and again, like there goes to my saying, it's like social media doesn't hide one's intelligence. It exposes them because after a while, you just mentioned me with IGN, you start to really see people try to, question me. And I after actually having constructive conversation or trying to have constructive conversation, you start to figure people out.
Honestly, like some of my most fun debates are with you, Dax. Like we get into, we share a lot of the same opinions, but we have differences in opinions, and we go back and forth respectfully, and forth, and have a real discussion. Unlike with Matt,
without trying to believe like we're enemies or whatever like that. It's like it's not that big of a deal. But we have what is called a Socrates Cafe.
Yeah,
we exchange. People who go to college understands what that is. But we have these exchange of ideas and theories and thoughts, not determining them or dictating them. We're just giving out thoughts and coming up with ideas to form concepts, to form ideology, if you will. We can do the same thing in wrestling if we allow ourselves to. We can do the same thing in all our fandoms if we allow it to, but we can't make enemies out of each other doing that.
Exactly. All right.
I mean, I can think Blaine is like the Brian Griffin of the group, of the Facebook group, but he does have his opinions, and it's a lot of times valid opinions.
Everyone has a valid opinion. Like that's what I love about our Facebook group, right? And it's what I do appreciate the most is that no one is outright an asshole to anyone, regardless of whatever, right?
Thank goodness for your group for that. Yeah.
Yep. Again, thank you to everyone who does join in on the conversations. We have great conversations, facebook.com, and all you need to do is search for A+ Productions. That where you can take part in these awesome discussions. Dax, after the show, what went on?
So, they had a curtain jerker moment with Swerve. I think everybody was actually really kind of, sour that he didn't win. So the crowd was like parting like the Red Sea, but he stopped the crowd at least so he could get a say so because his kids was there to see it. I never understand why wrestlers have their kids saying in on it when they're losing time, or their families and during they're losing time, but it's part of the deal. But they were there, and he was talking about how much he appreciated through his time wrestling in Philadelphia and all that stuff, and just giving thanks, and he had his moment. But also he said this had to be storyline, obviously. He was like, I don't know how many times I'm going to be able to go for the title. This might be my last time going for the title now that the EVPs are back. So absolutely that's playing into something right there. So I dare guarantee I'm looking forward to seeing where this is leading into on here. I don't know if he mentioned anything. Somebody I believe said he mentioned something about the Booker T situation, but that's a whole nother thing. But that's a whole nother thing.
A quick video where he kind of told Booker to F off or something like on the mic or something along those lines, or kind of dismissed them in a sense.
That's a whole nother. Oh boy,
whole other thing.
Yeah. So, but otherwise, that's who he kind of planted a seed for where this may be going. I'm just wondering what that storyline is going to be. And I'm kind of worried about what that storyline is going to be as to why they screwed him over. Matt, you mentioned some seeds that were already planted. So I'm hoping it's that and not anything that's going to go kind of close to fantasy based on reality, so to speak. If you understand what I'm getting at. I don't want it to be race related or whatever like that. I just want it to be totally based on
Here's my thing.
Character.
Race?
Yeah. Well,
sometimes.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to quickly say wrestling is supposed to be an escape. Life is that heated and charged now. Like every time you log onto the internet, every conversation you have is kind of like that. So let's watch AEW Dynamite and escape that fucking shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yes.
Right. Like it should be its own bubble of just characters. And, people have tried it and they failed at doing it. And no matter even if it was, WWE, they failed at doing it. It never works. just make it about the belt, just make it about the title, make it about the characters, make it about, who's trying to run WWE. I hope Tony doesn't go too deep on that.
You're telling me the Muhammad Hassan character didn't work out for years and years and years?
I don't blame him. I don't blame that character.
I don't blame him at all. I blame everything.
He was awesome. Yeah.
Here's the thing about this whole situation, and this is the last part before we move on, is I don't trust Tony Khan to do a race storyline properly.
I do not either.
No.
I don't either.
No.
There's some things I trust him to do. This is not one of them.
The Muhammad Hassan thing you brought up is funny because that was the one time maybe in the history of wrestling that it was done with nuance, and it was actually kind of ish. And it was kind of well done up to a certain point when he just became a literal terrorist at a really bad time, and then they had to scrap it immediately forever. So, they flew too close to the sun on that one.
Yeah, they did.
But, Swerve Strickland did literally say, fuck Booker T last night. And you can go look up the promo if you want. And that is a topic that Boris and I are not qualified to talk on. In this
if you would like for me to talk about that.
Well,
I got a few things I got to add.
Please.
I'd love to hear it, man. I'd love to hear your perspective on it.
For those of you listening, he got comfortable. He is up. He's just sat up. He's in prime gaming position right now.
All right. I probably should be around a bunch of other people in my community would say this, but no, here's the real. I have all the respect in the world for Booker T and his lineage and what he's done for himself and his legacy, but it wasn't a clean road. He had to endure some things before he got there. And it's easy for us to talk about it from looking outside, looking in. And as a person who is a black man who has worked in a corporate environment where he was the only black man in that corporate environment for a decade, I get it. But at the same time, you have a choice. And you have a choice to work with the system and let them do whatever the hell they want in hopes that you could achieve upward mobility. Or you could say, screw it, and take that sacrifice and then risk all of that, which I did, and left that job after 10 years and did my own thing. And just starting from the ground up. People have these two roads in our community that you go that direction or you go your own road and have your dignity and with that said, when it comes to Booker T, this is a brother who he struggled like a lot of us. And the ideology at the time, the era at the time is like, it's iffy, man, because you're trying to make it. But there's some things you just don't do. One of which is do a gimmick as a chain gang member. With a manager from the South.
Yeah.
That's one.
The introduction of Harlem Heat in WCW was rough to look back on.
They were in chain gang outfits. I don't know if they were in chains. I got to look back, but having Colonel Parker as your manager, even at that time, wasn't a good look. Thank goodness they did change it gradually after a while. It wasn't as tone deaf after a while. But you get later on when he works for WWE, he's in that infamous segment with Vince McMahon. And I'm sorry, I don't care if Vince McMahon is the CEO, whatever like that. You allowed a man to say the N-word with in front of another white guy who's procreating, even though we are John Cena fans, but he's procreating. Let's just keep it real. And you allow him to say it. And it's like, I get it. It's the times or whatever like that, but knowing what we know about Vince McMahon doesn't help the situation. So it's not like, some people, Booker to me has to understand and has to allow people to feel the way they feel about that situation. He needs to come to terms, in my opinion, on how he's perceived in that. He needs to take accountability for that. I feel like if he takes accountability for that, instead of just saying, if it wasn't for me, this, I get it, and you're right, but you can't act like you were, going out of this road unscathed. You got to say, like, in my opinion, you got to say, look, I did that. I'm not happy about that. I'm not proud of that. But also, I've done this to get myself together so you can do that. You can't be mad at somebody for giving their opinion for that situation, because that's not you owning up. That's not you taking accountability for that. Yeah. So I don't blame Swerve for feeling the way he does. I also understand what Booker went through, but at the same time, at the end of the day, the biggest superpower that we all got is choice. Never forget that. We may not have the money, we may not have the power, but we always got choice.
Well said, Dax. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, to me, and again, Boris and I are not qualified at all. I'm so glad to have your perspective on this. I understand Swerve's frustration so much, as much as I possibly could, because Booker T did do these things. He did the finish to the WrestleMania 2003 match was bad, and possibly could have tried to throw his body in front of that a little more. The segment where Vince McMahon says the N-word in front of him and his wife is bad.
Let's not talk about let's not forget the Triple H WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That whole build up to that match, and then he loses in the end, was fucking egregious. That's so bad. So to me, it's just why does he feel the need to speak up and defend WWE anytime Swerve Strickland or anyone else says something that makes sense? You know what I mean? Why do you stick your nose back in that fight if you're a Booker T?
Matt, let me answer that for you in a certain way. When Swerve says whose house it is, we say it's Swerve's house. When Booker T says whose house is this, that's a whole different question. And I'll just leave it at that, because there's a certain term for things like that people will think.
I think I see what you're driving at.
And often people, when it comes to Booker T and his allegiance with Vince McMahon, it kind of gets into that theory. Mm-hmm. Some people would say they're working with the system to change the system. I don't think Booker ever even tried to change the system. He just ran with it.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, I mean, it is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't.
Exactly. Well put, Dax.
Enough said.
Perfectly said, Dax. All right, real quick. Thumbs up, thumbs down, Dax, on the entire AEW Dynasty pay-per-view.
My hoarse voice says thumbs up. Otherwise, I think that's self-explanatory.
Yeah, exactly. Matt?
Yeah, I mean, thumbs up show. You'd have to be a real crusty, angry wrestling fan to not have enjoyed that. But it's a little too much of a good thing. But God bless us, that's what we've got. You know what I mean? I do feel bad for Daniel Garcia and Adam Cole, and I feel bad for Julia and Mercedes Moné and 5 or 6 performers on this show who are gonna have their hard work forgotten instantly. But it's still a very good show.
Yeah, thumbs up from me. It's a good show. A little long. And overall, it was what it was, though, right? It was a fun show, but let's see where they follow up this Wednesday.
That matters so much. Mm-hmm. That matters so much right now. I agree.
All right, Dax, we're going to keep talking wrestling for a little bit. There's a couple things I want to talk about. Do you want to stick around? Do you want to keep chatting?
I can keep going.
All right. Friday night.
Maybe my voice. Maybe I'll get to that Barry White level voice. Then
your voice is getting better. Your voice is getting more sultry.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm tingling on places I shouldn't be tingling as you talk.
That's a good sign.
I was going to make a joke about whacking day. Possibly we shouldn't.
Speaking of tingling,
no, because people from another generation, from this generation, won't know that reference.
Exactly. Speaking of whacking and tingling and everything, Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton. Holy
thank
shit.
God I'm staying for this one. I took my glasses off for this one.
We were texting during this. We were like, wow. We knew something was up.
Did we learn that it was something up? Did you learn anything new from that?
All right, so here it's the latest from Uncle Dave. He says Charlotte, wasn't supposed to do the squeaky voice thing. That wasn't there. She just kind of did that. She was gotten. The crowd got to her, which is funny because she's a heel and she was getting an incredible heel reaction.
In a ring general.
Yep. There's so many things it could be psychologically. As far as everything goes, it's probably all gonna come out in the wash later. There's been problems between the two for about 2 weeks. People knew about it. Charlotte is getting more of the blame, and probably deservedly so, but they are both getting blamed for it. This is all from Dave Meltzer. Also, a bunch of other people have been reporting that the whole ending was off script. Tiffany, the reason why she said it as she was leaving the ring was to just like get the final word in, and saying, what did she say? Well, the whole, your record is 0-3. Honestly, when she said that, if you look at Charlotte, she looked like she was ready to kill someone and cry at the same time.
She really did. Charlotte did not look good in this at all. I mean, the whole segment really wasn't good, but Charlotte, more likely, we talked, I got to put the finger on her because she should have been the one in control of the whole thing. She should have been leading the dance. She just looked very insecure out there, which is something I haven't watched. Of course, I'm second year into, WWE, but the last time I've seen her, she was a very different person. She was always in control. She looked great. She looks like too fit now. She looks like a runner, a marathon runner, that overworks out, overdoes it in the workouts and everything right now. I think she may have overdone it. She's going through a lot in her own world with her former marriage and whatnot as well. So, I mean, there's a lot going on in her world, and I understand that. But mental health and all that aside, like, you still need to know how to bring it. You got somebody new that's coming in that you're trying to, help make look good and lead the charge to the next generation. I didn't see that. I was not even a little, I was, quite disappointed at how she approached the situation.
Yeah. She is the veteran at the end of the day. Matt, thoughts?
Yeah, that's a really good point too, Boris. She's supposed to be the one who's like leading and being the example to follow. We love Dave Meltzer and his work here. Like, I have nothing but respect for Dave Meltzer. You got to take everything he says with a grain of salt, especially when it's like a current event. Like, he's not backstage as much as he might have sources close to him, but. I think I would believe Dave on this one because WWE went in and cut these lines from the Netflix feed. If you go watch SmackDown on Netflix right now, you're not going to hear the jokes about Charlotte's divorce, and you're not going to hear Charlotte retaliate, or whoever said it first and whoever retaliated. I guess Charlotte led off with insulting Tiffany's voice and saying Ludwig Kaiser was in her DMs. And then Tiffany retaliated with the jokes about the divorce. A lot of that has been cut from this, which makes me think it was real and they don't want it out there, So
I tell you the one thing that's not real. I honestly don't think Ludwig was on her DMs.
Like I said,
I agree.
Wait, first of all, can we talk about the optics real quick? They both kind of wore the same outfit, and it was like, who wore it better?
Exactly.
That's funny.
Ain't no way. No.
And I feel like that was very much on purpose too. But I do think if they play their cards right for the next couple weeks before WrestleMania here, this could really help the match.
Absolutely.
Because, it's always interesting and fun when you have real life tension behind the scenes coming into a match, but it could also completely derail this thing, and they could have a really bad match, and it could be something that goes down in infamy. So now it is on the performers to come together, bury the hatchet, and work to produce a really good match at WrestleMania, and then we'll look back on this that was sick.
This needs to be a Bret Hart and Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels type of situation.
It's flirting with that territory.
So, couple things. This reminds me a lot of Survivor Series 2021 with Becky Lynch and Charlotte. Same shit happened, if you guys remember. There was heat between the two.
Oh, I was out on that one. Do tell.
They just weren't getting along. They stopped being friends, and they were set to face at Survivor Series 2021, and no one knew what the hell was actually going to happen in this match. Similar to like,
oh, so this is not a first time. She's not a first time offender.
Yeah, exactly.
Is what I'm hearing.
The other thing
That's
is
interesting.
only in WWE can two performers who don't get along actually work together, and this is something that AEW. And I'm not trying to shit on AEW. I'm saying look at the interest in this match, regardless of what some people are saying on the message board and stuff. They're like, you look at the internet, people now give a shit about this match. I talked to my brother and my cousin in our group chat, which we talk about nerdy shit in wrestling. They now care about this match, right?
Yeah.
People love this stuff. Like you said, Matt, people love it when they flirt and skirt the lines between reality and fiction, right? And if they play their cards right, this match could go down as like a fun, good WrestleMania match that went from to intensity.
Right. And we'll
Absolutely,
see. Let's hope.
and that's on them now. That's it. It's on the performers, and it's on WWE to some extent. Obviously, the responsibility lies with them to like make them come together. But at the end of the day, it's on the two people to bury the hatchet, or at least as best as they can to work together to provide the fans with something good. But they have a chance to turn this probably negative current situation into a huge positive.
Yeah.
I hope that they professionally do, because again, even though women's wrestling has come a very long way, and this is probably the best women's wrestling era ever in a lot of ways, they need to keep that momentum and not go back into the unprofessionalism or the stereotypes or the tropes of what women do, and come at this hard and proving that these two can work together and they could do it and they could level up with the guys and all this stuff and really, make it happen. I think they can. I think they're both tremendously talented. And I know we could see a pretty good match if they were, work together and do so. So I'm rooting for them.
On the heels of the announcement of Evolution 2 happening this summer, don't fuck it up for everyone else. That's my whole
There you
thing,
go.
right?
There you go. Agreed.
All right. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about was those promos. That promo with John Cena and Cody to start last Monday's Raw. Jesus.
That's what we should have saw in the first damn place.
Yep.
That was so awesome. That I was literally like, I was in pearl clutch mode, but also very invested in this one more than I had the other 2 weeks of John Cena. And I'm like, yeah, this was, you know what this was, guys? This was Star Wars episode 1, 2, and 3, where we got to 3 and it was like, why do we need 1 and 2? Yep. Exactly. three could have just told the whole story right there, and we could have been off to a races.
Number 1 is hitting too close to home, right? With the high taxation of the trade routes.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Exactly, man. But yeah, I agree. Matt, thoughts on the build to Cody versus Cena?
Yeah, I have really enjoyed heel Cena. I think they're doing a pretty damn good job with it, all things considered. Like when people do complain, and rightfully so, about some of the matches that are being built up for WrestleMania, I'm sitting here like, well, we have a pretty good main event build going, guys. Like we should appreciate that John Cena freaking turned heel, and he's set to like have a legendary match with Cody Rhodes here at WrestleMania. It's actually, I think, big picture, it's been pretty solid.
Honestly, I think we got spoiled last year with the build up to WrestleMania.
I was just thinking that too. I think last year it put such a high precedence in what was happening because of the Bloodline storyline and other storylines leading up to it. This one, everybody's gonna compare it because in the significance of what last year was too. A lot of that play. So this one is gonna have. Everyone after that is going to play into that one.
Yep. Let's just remember, people want to complain about storyline buildups. Booker T and Edge at WrestleMania X8 in Toronto fought because of a shampoo commercial.
Which was never real for one. It was like I remember this. It was Japanese, stupid.
Oh yeah, that's a work shampoo commercial. That's silly. If it was a shoot shampoo commercial, I could buy that.
Hilarious.
Like, let's remember.
And like
some
we
of these
could like
WrestleMania
it wasn't like wait, hold on. It wasn't this was still the internet was still like kind of huge at the time enough that we could fact check this. And it's not like the 80s where we're like we didn't have internet access and we wouldn't be able to we could have believed it because we wouldn't be able to fact check them.
Yep.
What is going on here?
Exactly. The Naomi Jade build has been tremendous. This new Naomi character is awesome.
You look at that and you're wondering why they let her go in the first place. And it's just a reminder of like, this is a whole new era.
Naomi screwed Naomi. Remember that.
Was that what happened?
She walked out with Mercedes.
Yeah, but that was during that era.
Yes.
I will forever give them a pass on that because that was during Vince and around the time that the scandal was coming out too. So
right.
More women didn't walk.
Absolutely. Same here. Like, no, she rightfully did she did the thing that I would do.
Yeah.
She did something Booker wouldn't do.
Well, that's
you said you weren't going to include yourself. But you're right. Wait. No, this is like Anthony Mackie on Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He's like saying to Baron Zemo, he was like, he's off, but he's like, he's out of pocket, but he's right.
Yeah, exactly. That build has been great. Any other WrestleMania match that pops into your head that's having a good build?
No, I mean, like, no, that really is for me at the moment is what comes like again, Naomi. God, she has stepped up insanely. Like, oh, you know what? Actually, credit to all three of them, Bianca and Naomi, and even Jade. In terms of like, it's Bianca and Naomi acting and their psychology. It's just incredible. It's there is not many people in that company right now that has that much psychology. I mean, we dating back to Elimination Chamber. That was one of the best moments I've seen in that. The way Bianca reacted to that, and then the way Naomi's reacting to that, and then the way Jade is reacting to Liv Morgan and all this stuff, and how they go back. It's just these guys are incredible.
Yep, I
love this era of women's wrestling.
Io, Rhea, and Bianca are having a great story. My only problem
looking forward to
that story is Rhea embodies everything about white privilege, where she's not nothing. Listen up.
Go ahead. I never thought about this. Go ahead.
The match was Bianca Belair versus Io Sky, and then you have Rhea Ripley, who literally just walks in, signs her name on the contract, and thinks that she's going to get a match at WrestleMania because she just.
That's funny. I never thought about that. Yeah, that's hilarious.
As the representative Caucasian on this panel, classic whites.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Point is, that story's been good too.
You know what's so bad? I'm such a big fan of Rhea Ripley so much to the point that I didn't even realize that. That's how hot she is.
Yeah, she's the heel. She's the heel in this.
Right. She literally is. I'm like, damn. Look, damn, she.
killing it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, she's doing something. All right. Good.
Damn that kryptonite.
But yeah, if you look at the WrestleMania card, just fire it up on Wikipedia. Like, is it? I don't know. Is it WrestleMania X7 necessarily? Maybe not. But I think it's being overhated. I actually think it's going to be for sure a good show, and I'm interested in almost all of these matches to some degree. I think they're doing an okay job.
Matt, Boris, seriously, like, how many times have the build to WrestleMania has not lived up, but the WrestleMania comes in and then everybody loves it.
Exactly.
All of them in the aughts.
With the exception of last year, like I'm sure everyone prior to me watching, and even when I was watching, the builds weren't always that great. At least like from top to bottom, it was never that great. But the actual day itself, or days now, they delivered.
Yep, exactly.
1000%.
Exactly. There you go. There you go. All right. So that is, some more wrestling chatter. Dax, before you leave, real quick, let's really touch real quick on some entertainment. What are you watching right now? What are you playing?
Oh, of course. Watching wise, Daredevil Born Again.
Yes, of course.
Absolutely phenomenal. I'm loving where they're going, and again, shutting everybody up as to what they think they know about the Marvel Cinematic Universe by making certain things canon on it. So I'm watching that. I've been constantly playing, Bleach, Rebirth of the Souls on the video as far as video game wise. Keeping track of this stupid Nintendo 2 thing. It's a whole nother subject.
I'm laughing because I can't wait for my pre-order on Wednesday.
Oh my God bless. I'm going to hold off. I'm a patient person. I'm going to be Magneto. I'm going to be Magneto and let the pawns go first.
You also have to be careful because the Gestapo can get to you if you say the wrong thing.
There you go. So is that also been playing. I'm still having fun with Assassin's Creed Shadows, which was my first Assassin's Creed game I ever played, and I'm glad it was. It was pretty damn good, despite the supposed flop hate that it was getting. So no, I'm pretty good. I'm waiting for the for Superman. I'm waiting for all that stuff. The Thunderbolts, all that stuff. I'm ready. I'm really enjoying life right now with my fandoms.
The final season of a great documentary called The Handmaid's Tale starts this week. Season 6. Really looking forward to that. Guys, when I go to Vegas next month and you guys don't hear from me, you know why.
Oh no.
So Handmaid's Tale start this week. Last of Us starts this Sunday coming up, which I'm really looking forward to.
I still can't wait. That is probably going to be the most anticipated show. I think that's going to make major numbers on Max.
Yep. Hacks starts this week as well, which
I love it. I got you what it is.
That's one that I need to dive into. I still haven't seen Hacks. I really want to. It's on Crave in Canada too,
Man, I've been watching it for consistently because somebody else, a friend of mine who's an actor, got me into it, and then I got Boris into it. And he finally took the time to actually sit down, and he probably couldn't. He could not stop watching from that point.
I binged it in like 2 days, all season.
Yeah, amazing. There's
so many wrestling references, like Roman Reigns, Bloodline, AEW, like wrestling references in this show.
Yes,
shit. I'll like it even more. Then I'll definitely give Hacks a go very soon.
Oh, it's incredibly written. It's so awesome.
As a comedian, Matt, you'll really appreciate the main character.
Yeah, no, for sure. I know what it's about, and it's just one that just kind of I've been meaning to get to, but haven't had a chance to yet. But yeah, I'll definitely make the time for it. Also, while we're talking some quick entertainment, did you guys see Jack Black SNL? It was pretty good.
I watched pieces of it. I never missed the news segment with Michael Che, and there's so freaking hilarious. I watched the cold open. That was pretty funny. I haven't watched the rest of it though. Not yet.
Yeah. The weekend update was so good this past week.
All the weekend updates. The weekend updates is to me is worth. You can have a okay segment or a skit or whatever like that. The weekend updates have to be. They're my things.
Yeah, and they're at a high bar right now. It's definitely the highlight of the show. But I did think every single sketch made me laugh at least a little bit. It was a really good showing for Jack Black. He's not he flubbed a couple lines here and there, but just the energy and just he seems like a fun hang. He's a perfect choice for an SNL host. He can sing, he can do all these things. He's very diverse performer.
He's awesome. I remember when I went to New York Comic Con, he was like a surprise appearance because it was the premiere of the Super Mario Brothers movie. And he ended up making a surprise appearance, and I was covering media for that. His aura, his presence is just so gravitating. He's just an awesome dude. You could tell.
It really, really seems like it.
Yeah. Matt, something about SNL that I wanted to actually ask you, and this is the perfect place for that. Have you noticed that traditionally speaking, the second half of the show, post-weekend update, just almost you can almost skip it. But lately, the past little while, the second half is almost as good, if not better, than the first half.
We said that actually during the Jack Black show. We were like, this like, what is it, 12:55 sketch? Like the sketch right before one. It was like the weird like 1940s sketch with Jack Black and the hot dogs, and we were like, this is like my favorite sketch of the entire show. I totally agree with you. Maybe they feel like maybe the most mainstream idea or something goes first now, rather than like the best sketch. It'd be like the one that they think will get the most attention or has the best chance to go viral, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best. And yeah, I think some of the funnier, more well-written, certainly more experimental sketches are at the back of the show. And yeah, right now they're at a point where the back of the show is almost better than the front half.
Yep, exactly. SNL was really good. All right, Matt, real quick, let's talk some sports. Vladimir Guerrero signs a 14-year, $500 million extension to stay with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Must be nice. Not a bad payday. The man is 26. He's going to spend his next 15 years as a Toronto Blue Jay. If they hold on to him, he should retire with most, if not all, of the offensive records in the history of the Toronto Blue Jays and be a legendary player, hopefully on pace to a Hall of Fame career. It's a relief to see him staying. They at least know that they have that. They don't have to trade him. Hopefully it can wake his bat up a little bit this year, because he seemed a little nervous and a little tentative in the first 10-ish games of a long baseball season. My question to you, Boris, is do you think this means they're going to try to sign Bo Bichette, who's also a free agent, or are they going to try to trade his ass now?
I think they're going to try to sign him. I think they know. Shapiro and Atkins know this is it. If they don't do something, they will get let go this year. So I think they're going to try to go for broke, go for the double whammy. Look, we signed Kirk to the extension. We now have Guerrero. We have Jimenez to the extension. Something's a brewing here in Toronto. Something is a brewing here in Toronto. And your Philadelphia Phillies demolished my Dodgers this fucking weekend. Damn it.
Hence why I had such a hard time getting an Uber to AEW Dynasty, because they were all down at the sports complex, damn it.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'm not talking about picking up people. I'm talking about they were actually at there.
Yeah.
They looked at their phones like, I ain't even taking no rides right now.
Yeah. Third biggest contract in MLB history. Only Juan Soto and Shohei Ohtani have bigger contracts than Vladimir Guerrero has right now.
That's God damn. It's surreal to hear these numbers in this day and age. And I'm looking at Mike. I'm thinking about Mike Schmidt and John Kruk and all the, like, Jesus Christ. I know they're like, God, I wish I could I wish I could find the fountain of youth right now, because
I know. Do you know how many?
It is a great time to be a baseball player.
Do you know how many replica WWE belts you can buy with $500 million?
For $500 million?
Oh my God.
You can buy the original Big Gold for $500 million. The one that Conrad has.
And still have change.
Yes.
You can still get an ice cream or something like that with the rest of it.
Yep.
Yeah, Conrad is probably doing pretty well, inexplicably, because all of his podcasts are fucking trash. But I'm sure he doesn't even have anything close.
Well,
to
let me
500
see.
mil.
You know what? Conrad is like the Miz of podcasts. He's a guy that, like, not many people like. He has a fan base, but most people don't regard him. He is married to a Flair, so he's kind of winning on that note. You know what I'm saying? It's like he's in deep with the culture, if you will. So regardless of whatever you say about him, he can look at his whole entire life and just like
he's laughing at us, right? He's laughing at us.
Yeah. He definitely wins this battle for sure. He's never done anything good in his entire life.
You pulled straight up a Megatron moment. It's like, you'll win this war, but we'll be back. We're like Cobra Commander. Shut me up, Conrad! Ah! Cobra! Oh no, my bad. Canada!
Oh my God. Hockey, Matt. Something.
Oh yeah, one last thing we got it. Before we get out of here, we got to shout out Alexander Ovechkin, although it did kind of turn my stomach to see Wayne Gretzky, FBI leader Kash Patel, and fucking Gary Bettman sitting there like nightmare blunt rotation watching that game. But yeah, shout out to Ovechkin, the greatest goal scorer in the history of hockey. We were blessed to watch his career. And yeah, next year he's probably going to play his last season in the NHL. He said he doesn't plan on signing an extension with Washington. He says he's going to retire probably after next year. We'll see how that shakes out. But yeah, Alex Ovechkin passes Wayne Gretzky, all-time leading goal scorer in the NHL. Fucking crazy. It's crazy that it happened.
Yep.
How does fans feel about that? Because I knew they, I mean, of course, it's Gretzky. It's like high regards. Is everybody accepting of this, or is just like, damn?
You know what's funny? Previously, people would have been like, "No, you don't want that record broken." But just because of political stuff, I know a lot of people here in Canada who are happy that record was broken.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Wayne is not popular in Canada right now because he was he was at a mega event like at Mar-a-Lago.
I was about to say, yeah, is he Canada conservative now?
Yeah, very much so. It's more than that too. Like, because even the conservatives right now in Canada are pretending they're not completely in lockstep with Donald Trump, which anyone with a fucking firing brain cell in their head knows is untrue. But Wayne Gretzky wasn't hiding it. He was saying the quiet part loud and wearing literally a MAGA hat at Mar-a-Lago with Trump.
Wow.
And that was like when Trump is threatening to invade us and annex us. That's like a bridge too far, even for Canada.
So wait, you're trying to tell me that in America we got Hulk Hogan, in Canada you got Wayne Gretzky?
Oh shit!
It's not quite as bad, but it's getting there. It's getting there. Wayne is trying to distance himself from it, although showing up with.
Does he have a beer that he's selling or whatever?
He's got wine. He's got wine.
He does. Yeah, he has a.
We have our equivalent, ladies and gentlemen.
Wayne Gretzky, we're coming for you.
Oh my god!
Oh wow!
What you gonna do, Mario Lemieux, when the Great One thunders on you?
Wow.
Oh my god.
What a world we live in, gentlemen.
Oh my god. Thank you, Dax, so much for joining us for the entire show. I haven't laughed this much in a while. This is the therapy that I need. Just talking with friends about stuff that we love, stuff that makes us laugh. Yeah.
Brother, I always say, if you can laugh, you can still live. So let's keep laughing.
Tell us where we can find your awesome work.
You can always catch me every week on Talk Time Live, or ACMG presents Talk Time Live, ACMG, anime, comics, movies, and games, where I talk about all of our favorite fandoms, and every once in a while wrestling, every once in a while with Boris. And we talk about all the weekly events. I give my valid opinion, if you will, to the subjects that matter. I say my piece, and I have a lot of fun doing so. And I also review movies, also review video games on a weekly basis with Select Start, the video game podcast. And also, you never know who's going to stop by on this show. We've had a lot of great people on the show in the world of anime and the world of video games or whatever. I actually just had the team behind this new Cartoon Network show called Ayanu on air. I did my first press junket. That was a very interesting venture right there.
Press junkets are weird.
Good time. It very much is. I prefer the one-on-one exclusives myself, but if you want to check out exclusives, you could check out ones with like Stephanie Nadani, who's the voice of Goku Mini, at least America, as far as America is concerned. She's the voice of Goku Mini on Dragon Ball Daima. I have my good friend Molly Flanagan, who's like been like a sister to me, if not anything, a beer chugging sister to me. She's the voice of Naruto. I've interview with the cast of Bleach, and just go on to talktimelive.com, which is the home of ACMG Presents Talk Time Live. You can check out all of our archive episodes and video exclusives all there for you to enjoy and have a good time. And that's all we want to do.
Yep. A+Productions.com is where you can find all things for A+ Productions. You might be seeing some changes in the way that we do certain things with the feeds. A lot is happening. I'll get into what happened to our feed on the next show. Just stuff happened and I had to deal with it. And it's been the craziest 2 weeks, to the point where I've told Matt, it was so deflating that I just wanted to quit. But I do just love chatting with friends and having A+ Productions around. We got this sexy new logo from Dax, so I got to be able to use that one. Thanks again for that one, Dax.
Oh, my pleasure. Gotta look out for
Hey.
Canada.
aplusproductions.com is the best place to go, or you can join in on the conversation over at facebook.com, and just search for A Plus Productions. On behalf of Dax, Matt, and the entire A Plus team, thank you so much. But most importantly, stay tranquilo.